Welcome to NYNJPA Weather, your weather source for the Northern Mid-Atlantic. I'm meteorologist Stephen DiMartino. And boy, do I have a lot to talk about this afternoon. I decided to hold off on doing this video until I get all the new model guidance and the latest information. And I'm glad I did because I have a lot to share with you this afternoon. Okay, this is the surface map as of 3 p.m. and as you can see, high pressure is currently moving just to the north of the Northern Mid-Atlantic. Basically sliding through New England, and this Arctic high pressure means that basically the very cold temperatures that we've been having, especially this morning where temperatures were around 0 to 5 degrees over central New Jersey, is starting to leave the region. As the high pressure system moves to the east, we'll start to get a little bit more of a south and southwesterly wind, and as a result, warmer conditions. Yes, 35 will feel toasty after what we just experienced the past few days, which kind of tells you the magnitude of this cold air mass. Meanwhile, we have a variety of areas of low pressure to the southwest of the region. One area low pressure is developing in the Gulf of Mexico. That's our next major storm. And we have a clipper that's moving through the northern plains as well. First, let's take a look at the water vapor over the Pacific. Why the Pacific? I'll show you. This is the water vapor as of about 3 p.m. or so of the Northwest Pacific. Why am I showing you this? Notice the area that I have circled in blue. That is our somewhat Arctic disturbance that is poorly sampled as of this time. Why is this important? Well, because this disturbance dives down into the Great Lakes by the time that our disturbance circled in yellow starts rounding the corner and moving up the coast. This disturbance in blue has a lot of Arctic air behind it. And if it has a lot of Arctic air behind it, that means it could have some interactions with our storm. Now, the last time we had a disturbance like this where it was poorly sampled and it was diving down through central Canada towards the Great Lakes was back in December. And we all remember what happened with that, with the model guidance flipping on and off. This time the model guidance is doing a little bit better. However, I still have some concerns on exactly how this storm is going to play out for Wednesday and Thursday. Remember, we have several days still to go before we get to the starting point of this storm. So it's not exactly etched in stone exactly what this storm's going to do. When we move towards North America, you can see basically where I'm expecting this Arctic disturbance to dive down towards the northern plains and towards the Great Lakes. And we have our subtropical disturbance that dives into the Gulf, picks up a ton of moisture, and then moves up the east coast. Now, a few points to make here. One, the old idea of this low pressure system staying over, let's say, the coastal plain, like around Philadelphia, up through New York City, is pretty much dead. There is no model guidance at all supporting a track that far west. On the flip side, there's only one model guidance that's going extremely far east, and that's the NAM model guidance, which isn't that much of a surprise for the most part. The NAM this far out really doesn't perform all that well, and really shouldn't be used, by the way. So we take those considerations, and what we have is somewhere in the middle, where it's a storm track that I have right now, which takes the low through the mid-Atlantic, off the New Jersey coast, and cutting up towards just to the west of the benchmark. Now, my concern here with this storm going forward is that a lot of the mid-level features, the 850 millibar low and the 700 millibar low, and pretty much all the model guidance, starts to rapidly develop to the southeast of New Jersey. And that is a cold signal. That's not a warm signal. So when we take a look at this forecast, we have to take into consideration a rapid intensification and then our Arctic disturbance I was pointing out. Now, I'm going to show you the GFS model guidance. So I'm not saying that I'm following the GFS, but I just want to use it as an example of what we're looking at. So here we have the GFS on Wednesday afternoon, and also notice the model guidance keeps on pushing back this storm, which is rather interesting. Here's our disturbance, our Arctic disturbance diving down through the northern plains, and we have another disturbance that is sitting over the Great Lakes. So we have a lot of disturbances setting up with this storm. And we have our upper level low that is starting to develop over the southeast. Now, my concern here going forward is that these disturbances are going to dive down into this trough, slow down this storm just a little bit, and also allow colder air to infiltrate the surface a little bit faster than what the model guidance is suggesting. When we look at the surface guidance, you can clearly see that there's a cold front that is weakening and starting to collapse in a high pressure system, a rather strong one, that is over Ontario and building south and east. Meanwhile, our area low pressure is still starting to develop over the North Carolina coast and starting to move northeast towards the New Jersey coastal waters. This is a warning sign, ladies and gentlemen. Now, does this mean I'm expecting all snow for the coast? No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that I think that the transition from rain to snow is going to end up being a little bit faster than what most think right now. And I also think that the heaviest precipitation, because of the packing of the thermal gradient and enhancement of lifting, is going to happen on Wednesday night into Thursday morning, right when a lot of this precipitation is changing over to snow. So I think that we're going to be dealing with an evolving situation here where heavy snow will be a threat, and it will be a threat for locations like central New Jersey, much of northern New Jersey for that matter. Northeast Pennsylvania is going to get crushed here. The Hudson River Valley is going to have some significant snowfall, much of Connecticut once again, and the New York City metropolitan area. To the southwest towards Philadelphia and towards southern New Jersey, I think the mixing and changeover time period is going to be a little bit delayed, but not too much delayed. And I still think that a moderate snowfall is possible on Thursday morning. So keep an eye out for that. The key point I want to make this afternoon is that we're dealing with an evolving situation where you are having a rapidly deepening 850 and 700 millibar low. Those are cold signals, and I expect changes in the model guidance towards the colder scenarios as we move forward. Don't be surprised if you see a very brief period of rain relative to the rest of the storm, most likely in the afternoon on Wednesday, changing over to snow, and that rain-snow line crashing towards the coast Wednesday evening at about the same time that you're driving home for rush hour. So the Wednesday evening rush hour and Thursday morning rush hour are not going to be pretty. We have several days to watch this storm, so for right now I'm holding off on snow maps until I get more data, specifically with that Arctic disturbance. But there's definitely more than meets the eye with this storm, and Wednesday afternoon through Thursday morning looks to be more white than wet for many locations, I think. Thank you for visiting NYNJPA Weather. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Have an excellent day.